What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to 10 of the most WTF video clips in BBC history. So, the BBC is a popular British broadcaster. It says it's been around for about 100 years now. So today, I thought it'd be interesting to check out this video by Watch Mojo UK. And this is 10 old videos from the BBC archive that are apparently very, very strange to look back on, especially now from the future. So let's take a look at these.
Number 10, the year 2000.
I think all these atomic bombs will be dropping around the place.
For most,
Oh my god. What is this? This is a bit morbid. Is this what kids thought back in the day? Was this what they thought would happen in the year 2000? Nuclear bombs everywhere. That's terrifying. You know, I guess I understand, because, like, back in the day, I think nuclear bombs and nuclear technology was, like, really scary and kind of new, and somehow as time has gone on, we've become, like, less concerned about the planet blowing up due to some nuclear bomb. I mean, that's still a scary thought, but there's something weird about children a long time ago, like, predicting that, like, the world would end in 2000.
most of the second half of the 20th century, the BBC produced Tomorrow's World, exploring what the future was going to be like for the next generation of Britons. In
Okay.
this early clip, the children of 1966 give their thoughts on what they thought the world would be like in the year
Oh.
2000.
Okay.
Did they predict Britpop, Tony Blair, and the Euro? No.
Did they predict Britpop? No, they just had no idea what amazing what amazing things were coming, like Britpop.
Oh, of course not. They had far loftier ambitions.
I think that there is going to be all this automation. People are going to be out of work and a great population. And I think something has to be done about it.
Humans
Oh my god. What the heck? What? Why are these kids so smart? What the heck? What? Teenagers? How old is this kid? Is he even a teenager? Is he even 13 years old yet? And he's making predictions like that? Who is this guy? What? I don't know any kids that are like this, making accurate predictions too about the future. He is spot on. Like, he's right. Like, I can tell you now, kid, it's the future, and there's lots of automation and, like, robots and technology, and a lot of jobs that existed back in the day no longer exist, and especially now, you know, in the last few years with AI and how quickly that's advancing, lots, like, even more jobs that we thought were safe are probably going to disappear soon. So this kid, what? How is this little kid like, what? Who is this kid?
Humans living in space, strange futuristic foods, and widespread robots were some of the things they brought up. But there was something much darker on their mind.
It's funny how accurate some of the predictions are. And then some of the stuff they thought would happen by 2000 is just so, like, humans living on the moon in space. Yeah, some humans live in, like, a space station for like a year, but humans aren't living in space, like in colonies and other planets. Like, so they were so off with that, but they were so spot on with, like, robots and technology and stuff.
Nuclear war.
Some madman will get the atomic bomb and just blow the world into oblivion.
My
There's
God.
nothing we can do to stop it.
In 1966,
Jeez. When was this?
the
Oh, this is the 1960s. I think people were really scared of nuclear bombs. And frankly, if something like the nuclear bomb had been developed and invented recently, I think this is actually a really reasonable opinion to have. Like, what's going to happen in the next 40 years? Some crazy person is going to use this, like, insanely powerful bomb to blow up the planet. Like, it's bound to happen. Like, I can see, even though that it's really weird to hear children, it's kind of like morbid and scary to hear children saying this. I don't know if their parents were, like, at dinner, their parents were like, Johnny, and the world's gonna end by 2000. Someone's gonna run out with a nuclear bomb on their head. And I don't know if that's what they were talking about at, like, the dinner table, but scary stuff.
Cold War was still raging, and many of the youngsters expressed genuine fear that the world was going to end imminently.
Well, I think that it'll be so overpopulated that there'll all be wars, all nuclear explosions and everything.
Number 9.
Some places are probably getting pretty, like, overpopulated. That's like a decent prediction. How are these kids so, like, smart? I don't under. Is that weird to say? I just feel like kids these days, obviously there are exceptions, but aren't, like, thinking like this profoundly about philosophy and the future. And geez, what's the future going to look like for us in, like, 60 years? Like, we're all going to be in virtual reality or something with AI planning our days. Or anyway, that was a weird clip for many reasons. Let's keep going.
Word processors.
The secret ingredient, the nerve center of this office of the future, is a machine called a word processor.
If you're young enough, you might not even know that once a word processor was its own thing.
I don't understand what this means. A word processor. Like a typewriter? Like, okay, so this must have been, I've never heard of a word processor, but it's probably before the internet, but they had come up with, like, a computer that didn't connect to the internet because there was no internet. So you could at least use it offline to type stuff, like, locally on that device.
Necessarily tied to a proper computer that could do other stuff too. But in the late 70s, Nationwide looked at these word processors when they were brand new and set to potentially overtake typewriters, which did happen.
One program that runs in the computer is called a text editor.
Like, this is just cutting edge. This is so funny to look back on. A text editor. This entire computer is dedicated to it just types. It just does text. Well, I don't know. One day maybe they'll look back on, us now and laugh too.
And this helps you manipulate what you've already written in very powerful ways.
This was at the dawn of email, and people were afraid that traditional office jobs would be going kaput in favour of home working. Computers have become integral to just about every job in Britain today.
Yes.
But they haven't brought on working from home. Only the pandemic did that.
Yeah. And now working from home kind of, like, had its moment, and now none of the corporations in the United States want to do remote work anymore. So that came and had its chance and died. And so this is basically like the evolution of the typewriter, but before modern computers that could do other stuff. But you can see where this is, like, huge, going from a typewriter and a piece of paper, smashing ink into paper, jumping to this thing. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, it's hard to even make a comparison, but there's been some leaps, like when the iPhone came out and we went from, like, flip phones to smartphones, like typewriter to this text editor machine. Like, it's a pretty big deal.
Even then, many business owners chose to mandate returns to the office anyway.
Now, this is a floppy disk. Contained on here, there are very, very neat files, all under their own file headings and instantly retrievable.
I am just barely old enough to have like held floppy disks when I was a kid. When I was a very, very, very young kid, I remember seeing some actual floppy disks around the house. So that's funny to see.
Number 8, Greggs.
The old people go to a seconds shop in Newcastle,
Greggs.
owned by a local bakery, where they buy misshapes and unsold goods taken from the firm's 49 other shops the night before.
I've heard of Greggs. Isn't Greggs like a pastry bakery in the UK? It's pretty popular, right? Is the premise of Greggs that it was a secondhand, like it had baked goods from other places that they took and sold for cheaper?
The year was 1951, and Gosforth High Street in Newcastle bore the very first branch of Greggs. In 1974, Greggs was already taking over the country, with people queuing all the way around the corner to get to this branch of Greggs.
I'm obviously not British, so Greggs doesn't really hold any significant meaning for me, but this is just like this is like an old BBC clip of when Greggs first was like invented.
Sold only seconds. That's imperfect baked goods that would be sent out to pig farms if nobody bought them.
That's actually really nice. Like selling seconds, like baked goods that have some kind of a defect, but they're cheap. Like, I actually think that's a great business. Like, that's really cool.
They call substandard, maybe underweight or too well done, maybe underdone.
Today, you can't move for Greggs. There are over 2,300 branches in the UK, with large towns and city centres sometimes having dozens within walking distance of each other.
Wow.
But what's fascinating is the focus on businesses limiting food waste, something that's far more talked about now. To this day, Greggs makes tackling food waste a major part of its goals.
Really? So they still do that? That's awesome. I think that's really cool, especially if, there's plenty of people either because you're kind of cheap or you want a good deal, or maybe because you just don't have a lot of money that could absolutely utilize something like this. There's really nowhere in the United States selling secondhand cheap baked goods. That's a really interesting business.
Well, in the morning do you get up to come here?
Oh, about 6:30.
6:30?
Yes.
Why is it worth it for you?
Well, because you get things half price, don't you?
Number 7, Spaghetti Harvest.
Most important of all, it's resulted in an exceptionally heavy spaghetti crop.
What? Huh? Spaghetti harvest? Spaghetti crop? What are we talking about here? What?
Did you know that you can grow spaghetti on trees in Switzerland's more temperate regions? No? Well, maybe you're too young to remember this episode of Panorama.
There's always the chance of a late frost, which, while not entirely ruining the crop, generally impairs the flavour.
This is a joke. This is a parody. This is a joke or something. This what?
And makes it difficult for him to obtain top prices in world market.
In 1957, the BBC perpetrated one of the most legendary hoaxes in broadcasting history.
No way!
Producing an item for Panorama, usually reserved for deathly serious investigative journalism, about the annual harvests of Europe's spaghetti trees.
What? The BBC pulled a prank? They pranked the country? This is I could see people like watching this, and if this is where you get your news, and especially if they haven't like pulled a joke like this before, I bet a lot of people would believe this.
Many of you, I'm sure, will have seen pictures of the vast spaghetti plantations in the Po Valley.
Narrated by Richard Dimbleby, it was no wonder that Britons, many of whom had never encountered fresh pasta at the time, actually believed it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks very convincing. This is kind of like cruel. This is like very British humor or something. This is like too well orchestrated.
Hundreds ringing the BBC to ask about the report. Alas, the UK is just too cold to reliably grow spaghetti.
For those who love this dish, there's nothing like real homegrown spaghetti.
Number 6, mobile phone.
Oh, mobile phone. It's like the text editor. Like, this was when the BBC first reported on mobile phones.
I've got the other telephone here, and it looks more like a shoulder bag, really, than a proper telephone.
It wasn't really until the
No! That's right. This is what a mobile phone would have been at first. This giant thing, like, that you carry around in a bag.
thousands that mobile phones took over our lives and became utterly indispensable. Before that, they existed, but were generally only bought by rich business people, and some of the earliest commercial mobile phones were enormous and had to be carried around in their own bags, including this one. Blue Peter showcased a mobile phone all the way back in 1976.
Wow.
With Peter Purvis showing off his stylish portable phone.
I mean, it's funny looking back at this stuff. It's funny to see how far we've come in such a short amount of time, too.
And it's ringing in the studio.
Hello, John Noakes here.
Wow.
John, fancy seeing you.
They made television history by testing the phone live on TV and
Wow.
explaining that the mobile phone had its own transmitter on the roof. They predicted that the technology would take off, and would you know it? They were right.
Yeah.
Well, if you use your mobile...
Yep. It's funny because the actual phone aspect of the smartphone isn't even that important anymore. It's like you're probably more likely to use the texting, email, obviously internet, like browser searching, going on the internet, watching videos, looking things up. Like, I don't think they ever could have like predicted all that. The actual calling someone on the phone aspect of the cell phone is like secondary now.
phone anywhere within a 7-mile radius of this equipment, you should actually be able to speak to a friend from all sorts of places.
Number
Wow.
5, camera phones.
Oh, wow. Oh my hell. Okay. This is getting a little too recent, because like I kind of remember phones like this. Like this is supposed to be ancient history. This is getting a little too recent.
Now, the craze for sending text messages shows no sign of abating. In fact, last month, people in Britain sent over 1 billion of them.
Mobile phones were one thing, but what about attaching a camera to it? Well, today, flagship smartphones boast cameras so good that, unless you're a photographer, you won't even need to buy a separate gadget. That wasn't always the case.
Oh my
At the school gate, on the way home, evidence of the text messaging craze is everywhere.
In this
Like, I kind of remember phones like this with the really crappy camera, and you had to like text by clicking the numbers and like cycling through all the letters, and I remember using this. This is how old is this?
This report from 2001, the BBC was baffled by the existence of camera phones.
Yeah, 2001. You know, it's only like 24 years ago.
And the introduction.
That's very funny. I didn't expect us to like get this recent in history.
Of a new service to send people pictures via MMS, or Multimedia Messaging Service.
The idea is that wherever you are, at Buckingham Palace or on the bus home, you can send your friends or family a photo with a message attached.
This was less than a decade after SMS had been introduced for texts, and a lot of people were predicting that it was just too expensive to take off. How wrong they were.
The takeoff of texting did surprise a lot of people, but picture texting is something, again, it needs a lot more network capacity, and I think...
Yeah, at the time, people didn't know texting would be so popular. Like, people thought, well, why wouldn't you just call? That's a lot faster. Speaking is faster. But I think texting is far more popular now. It's also just like, talking is it's so much effort. when you can text. You can also text and people can read your texts without bothering people. If you're busy and you can't get on a phone call, you can send a text. It's convenience. And I think people now just prefer to text rather than call.
You've got to persuade all your friends to pay hundreds of pounds for this piece of kit if you're going to use it at all.
Number 4. Seatbelts.
Before the new law came into force, only about 4 out of every 10 motorists regularly used a seatbelt.
It's absolutely surreal to think that once, not only was wearing a seatbelt in a car not required by law, but that lots of older cars didn't even have them. It actually didn't become law for you to actually wear the seatbelt until 1983, 15 years after it became mandatory for car makers to install them.
1983? You didn't have to wear a seatbelt? See, the statistics, I think, show how much seatbelts like save people's lives. But I guess at the time, no one really thought about that or cared.
The BBC went out on the day the law came into effect to talk to Britain's drivers and see what they thought about it all.
I see you're wearing your seatbelt today.
That's correct, yes.
Is this simply because of the law?
Indeed, I've never worn it before. I prefer to be free when I'm driving.
If you were born after 19...
People didn't want to wear their seatbelt. They thought it was stupid. They thought, what? You need to be free. I prefer to be free. How free do you have to be while driving? It's a little belt across your chest. What do you need? What else do you need to do? How mobile do you need to be to drive a car?
1983. You've never known what UK roads were like before seatbelts were required by law, and it's strange to think that there was so much resistance to this life-saving equipment.
Yeah.
Well, figures have proved in the continent that even though the number of people wearing seatbelts went up, there's no decrease in the amount of accidents.
Number 3.
Well, yeah, a seatbelt isn't going to prevent an accident. It's going to prevent people from getting as hurt in the accident. Somebody needs to go back in time and tell this guy that that's a bad take. Bad take. It's funny, like, how resistant we are to change, and then looking back, it's like, why were we resisting seatbelts that, like, save your life?
Fast food.
Fast food centres like this are just starting to spring up on high streets all over the country.
Greggs may be a homegrown fast food chain, but it couldn't stop the onslaught of American fast food giants in the 1980s.
Yeah!
People were terrified that the boom of businesses like McDonald's and Burger King would be the death knell for an array of traditional British foods.
Nah, I mean... Yeah, it's so funny. See, it's so fun hearing what people were worried about and thinking about. Fast food. There was a time when fast food didn't exist. My God, what a scary thought. Yeah, because obviously we know now. Sometimes you're in the mood for fast food. Sometimes you're in the mood for a regular restaurant that's like higher quality. You can have both.
Yes, can I have a Big Mac, please? And some chips.
Would you like large French fries?
Small ones, please, yes.
It would go as some relief to the people of 1981 that the existence of Big Macs and Whoppers didn't mean the demise of the humble fish and chip shop. Fish and chips were still thriving in the UK. Kids and parents were amazed at how brightly lit these outlets were, but we're amazed at John Craven getting an entire Big Mac meal with a milkshake for just £1.52.
That's why people were probably worried. And what a great problem to have. Oh, fast food. Fast food is so cheap. It's so cheap. Why would you go anywhere else? I would love for that to be. That is not a problem anymore. Because fast food is not even that cheap anymore. Like if you go to McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever, it's not even that cheap. It's kind of expensive. It's not, you might as well go to a restaurant or something. Nowadays with inflation and stuff. So yeah, it turned out like never even to be a problem.
Style waitress service will still be around in some places, and customers there will still be able to use knives and forks. Wimpy's are spending £10 million on updating their image.
I could see, but back in the day, if you could get an entire meal at a fast food place for $1 or £1, That's probably the only place I'd go to. Yeah.
Number 2, the internet.
Okay. This is good. This is a good. I like. There's a segment about the internet. That's funny. Okay.
Imagine a world where every word ever written, every picture ever painted, and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home.
Just what is the
Wow.
internet anyway? We haven't a clue.
Imagine a world. Imagine a world where you can watch some random American guy reacting to the BBC. Imagine on your computer screen. Imagine such a world.
But according to this Tomorrow's World clip, in 1994, it was set to become the next big thing.
You could transform your home into a mammoth interactive entertainment centre.
Bizarrely, the first way they showed off the awesome power of the internet was via a form email sent to the BBC from the White House.
And in fact, that's already happening on something called the internet.
They also talked about BT's newfangled video on demand service, essentially a very primitive version of BBC iPlayer that would play through the television first. It's all very prescient given that today the number of people who watch YouTube on their smart TVs rather than using another device is only increasing. But you can't help but long for these simpler times.
I think the funniest thing about the internet is there were a lot of people who thought the internet was a fad, that it was a temporary fad, or they truly had no idea what the internet, like, it literally now it invades every facet of our life, every single part of life. Work, home, looking, like everything you look at during the day, like everything has to do with the internet practically.
The idea is, from the comfort of your armchair, you'll choose whatever video you want and it'll be played down your phone line to your own TV.
No way.
Number 1, 2020.
So a simple command could turn a window into a wall, and you could decorate it how you want.
In the words of Boris Johnson, circa December 2019, 2020 was set to be a fantastic year for Britain. Well, he was wrong.
What is this? What is this thing? This is some big TV? Like a TV that goes over your window, or what? Did they come out with this in 2020? What is this?
But did the people of 1989 fare any better with their predictions? In this memorable clip, also from Tomorrow's World.
Oh. Are they trying to predict what the world will be like in 2020?
They took a look at what your house might be like in the year 2020. As you may expect, their pitch was, essentially, a smart home with motion detecting lights and voice controls.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny what people thought would happen. And then you realize it's just unnecessary. Like, why don't we have motion sensor lights? Because it's not necessary. And you want to have more control over your lights. You just, it turns out a switch is more convenient for controlling the lights than motion detection, and also that would be expensive.
But then things get strange, with the idea that all walls would be able to transmit electricity to your devices if you stick them together.
No more power points. Plugs become pads, picking up power from anywhere on the wall.
That's not the dumbest thing. That's not that stupid. You could do that. It'd just be incredibly expensive. You could do a lot of these things. It'd just be expensive. Motion detection lights, like they have, you can charge wirelessly now by putting your phone on a charging plate. You could just build that into the wall, I suppose.
In a lot of ways, though, they were right. Smart home tech is now ubiquitous, but we would love to get our hands on some of these heating solutions.
And if these two things become widely used by 2020, the coatings could one day reduce heating bills almost to zero and help to cut down our use of fossil fuels.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments.
That was really interesting. There's a lot of priceless old BBC video footage. That was really funny, especially looking back on now in the future. I had never seen any of this stuff. The BBC has done a lot of cool stuff over the years. So I actually really enjoyed this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these old BBC video clips or predictions. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and seeing British things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.